eye contact and nods, and you're just being very open to listening what your partner had to say. Whether you agreed with them or not didn't really matter. I mean, that's kind of maybe the whole fear and yet trust of a speed date, so to speak. I would also, and I'm just kind of joking here a little bit, but you never know who you're going to be paired up with, and that last question is a little bit tough, and I've turned and look over, and poor Mrs. Gunderson has to talk to Josh, her administrator. I mean, what an opportunity to get to vent about what she thinks about PL. I mean, way to put her on the spot, I thought, and when I first saw that, and then I thought to myself, well, she should, hopefully she feels comfortable, and she just tells Josh what she thinks, I mean, because that's how it should be, right? Yeah. I mean, and so, that's that whole fear and that trust that you can speak your mind and say what you want without necessarily hurting any feelings, and it's working towards a constructive sort of thing. So, here's our big chance to share out as a group. So now you come home from your speed date, you get to tell me, your best friend, about how it went. And so what I'm looking for is just a few volunteers to share the one thing that they learned from somebody else in their speed date. The positive thing, the best experience they had, something that they wish they got more from the unconference, and then kind of maybe where they're at with PL. So I'm just looking for some people that want to share. You don't have to say their name, okay? You can just say, I met this one person who said, this, okay? So think about maybe the one or two takeaways you might want to share with the group. And anybody that wants to volunteer, I'd really appreciate it, because I didn't get to hear anybody's. So volunteers. Yes, sir, Mr. Seaman.
With one of my partners, I talked about how in my standards-based grading session on the unconference, I was with two people who are on that standards-based grading team. And the person I was with also went to the standards-based grading one, but a different session. And they said it might have been a little more beneficial if they had somebody in there that could help them out a little more, or maybe answer some more of their questions.
Great. So a takeaway from the unconference would have been, if there were experts in the areas at each station, that might have been beneficial for some. Great. Somebody else? Great point. Thank you.
I was going to say that same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yes, ma'am.
My partner said, and I think I said too, that it was really refreshing to have a chance to speak in a small group setting and reach out and connect with people that we don't get to talk to on a day-to-day basis.
Great. Thank you very much, Liz. Yeah, so there were several comments from the reflection that day that people said that. Just refreshing to be able to talk to other people about topics related to what we do here at Baxter. Great, thank you. Somebody else wants to share something they learned from some wacko on their speed date tonight.
One of my partners was talking about how in the technology one, it was nice to see not only like the pieces of technology, but like how people are utilizing those and how they can be used in various disciplines.
Okay, great. Awesome. How people are using different technologies. Yes, ma'am.
One of my partners I talked to teaches a drastically different grade level than I do, and so it was very interesting to hear about our two best professional learning experiences, because I don't really think about the total other end of the spectrum sometimes and the things that they do to go and prepare for their classroom. And so it was just interesting to hear that compared to my experience, because you don't usually get to have those total cross
exact opposite,
total
kind of
opposite conversations.
Kids and stuff. Great, very good. Thank you for sharing. One more. Somebody can be daring and bold.
So,
okay, Liz, thank you.
Yeah. So one thing that my partner and I agreed on was, and something that we needed from PL was more of a sense of direction. And I think we've heard this from other people off and on, is just feeling overwhelmed, and like there's a lot of different things going on that, yes, they are related, but sometimes it feels like we don't have a clear focus or end goal, and just juggling a lot of different things at the same time.
Sure.
So trying to make that a little more smooth.
Yeah, I think Liz definitely has sharing that with the group. There have been people that have shared that with me, shared with each other, obviously. So we've heard that from some people, that feeling of overwhelmed, about all the different things that we're trying to do. But they all interweave, but how to get that feeling a little more comfortable, maybe. Very good. Well, I really wasn't going to talk a lot about making the most about professional development, but I thought it was important that we discuss just a little bit. So this isn't a soapbox as much as it's an encouragement or a rah-rah sort of situation for us, and you can take it or leave it. So I'm kind of stepping myself out here on the ledge a little bit and exposing some of my thoughts about this. So we've done a lot with PL this year. We've sat here and we've talked about things and shared, you know, PowerPoints and ways of doing things. We've worked in small groups, big groups, all sorts of different things. And the unconference was something that, as we were planning professional development, we really thought that that was important for some of the things that you guys said. For that opportunity to share, for that opportunity to, you know, work with other teachers. We didn't want, and I understand totally, we didn't want to have any experts necessarily. We didn't want any canned presentations, so to speak, in any of those, although I understand that that might have been good. That might have been what some of you wanted. But the point was just to be able to collaborate. If somebody had something to take to the table on that topic, they could share it out to the rest of the staff in that group and really just have this opportunity to work together as professionals. And so at the TLS meeting, you know, some stuff came up, we talked about some things, and then since then 2 or 3 other teachers have sat in my office and asked about our professional development here at Baxter. So I did write down 3 things down below there. I followed this gentleman on Twitter, put a tweet that he had just the other day, February 1st up, that I thought was kind of fitting to this. But our professional development or professional learning here has layers to it. And so when we planned at the beginning of the year before school started how professional development was going to go, we talked about each of these days and we tried to put in there what we were going to do as a district, okay, what we were going to do as building, and then what we would do as PLCs. And really, I think we said at the beginning of the year that although we kind of had a plan, that plan sometimes, you know, changed a little bit. It was dynamic. Sometimes we would spend a little more time here, or maybe if we felt we needed more of this, we'd go back and forth. Really, truly, the one thing that I think has fallen off the map, and this is just me coming out and saying it, is this whole idea of PLCs. I mean, in the past, we've done a lot of PLC work, working with teams and working on a particular focus with those teams. And then we haven't done that as much this year. But, so we know that, and that's why I put that up there. But the idea was to have different layers. And we've done a lot of district-wide PL, and we've done some stuff as buildings. And then the whole idea about, what about personalized professional learning? What can I get from professional development for me, right? And how can I tell the whole district that this is what I need? I mean, that's really a challenge, especially if a district plans, if we plan all this stuff we're going to do, what about my individual needs, okay? And so hopefully in sharing through the speed dating thing there, some of that may have came out, or it may have came out in your choice with the unconference and the conversations you had, or maybe even now after, you start to think about, wow, I could use a little more of that and a little less of this whole group district-wide, you know, Atlas, Rubicon, all this stuff kind of thing. All right, so that we are conscious of that. I am conscious of that, and I kind of wanted to address that a little bit. Unfortunately, I stole this from Todd, this particular picture, but this is really kind of what happens in PD. I mean, if we think about it, right? We sit and get. We sit there and people tell us stuff, and it is important. It is important that we're doing, you know, GBC work. It is important that, you know, we're planning our curriculum and we're talking about standards-based grading and we're doing things as a district. And so, unfortunately, as with a lot of conferences maybe you've been to or whatever, you sit there, you listen to somebody tell you something, and then you implement or you try to implement when you go back there. And there's good sides to PD like this, and then there's sometimes disabling sides of PD like this because you feel like this is all we do and maybe we don't get there. So PD can definitely take that format. PD can also take a format a little like this, and maybe it has this year, where we're helping each other out, we're supporting each other, right? We learn something new, we have training wheels helping us, we have, you know, other teachers helping us a little bit, and then hopefully the goal is up in the top corner there is that we learn to kind of do it on our own. And we learn to experiment with some different things there, right? Riding our bike with no feet instead of, you know, pedaling away. So we hope that through some of the things we've done this year, we had some PD like that. And then there's this kind of PD. This is going after what you want, okay? This is having that empowerment to pursue what it is that you want in PD, all right? That's that personalized part of it. And I just started by saying it's really hard in the model we have and the stuff we've been doing this year to find where I can stretch my wings and go get those personalized things that I need. So if we think a little bit about the unconference, that was an opportunity to sign up for something that I thought I needed, okay? And I'm not being, we asked the staff to provide us topics that they felt were important. So if you submitted a topic, we offered that topic, okay? And at some level, it was pretty general, but you could offer that. So that opportunity to go after that and to try to get the professional development we need. Sometimes we need to be sitting and getting, sometimes we need some supports, sometimes we need to go after things on our own. And so I would encourage this kind of last little model here is kind of what I'm going to put up, just to share a little bit about how things that we can encourage and that I can offer to you, or that your colleagues that you sit with at the table can offer you. If in the old days we sat at day-long workshops, observations, and even PLCs. I mean, I'm not going to be critical of our PLCs, but our PLCs in the past have kind of been selected for us. But my professional learning community should be something that I want to pursue. It should be a community that I can reach out to and try to get something to benefit me as a teacher. So PLCs in that format where we say you're in this group and this is what you're going to learn, you know, that's a positive on some levels, but it can also be restraining. So if this is the old model, then maybe this is a little more of the new model. And I'm going to ask someone to share something a little bit here, but engage, right? Work with our colleagues. This whole thing right here, can I find learning communities? So we have communities right here, right? Cassie said that she got to talk with someone on the opposite spectrum of what she does. So that's a great community of learning about what other teachers do and how to help that. So we have our community right here, but we also have communities outside of our school. So those of you that are Twitter people, you probably follow lots of communities, lots of different learning groups, whether it's sports related or life related, lifestyle related, or education professional related. Those are out there, and so I encourage that for sure. The science teachers, one science community I belong to is called Yammer. It's like a Facebook kind of thing, but it's teachers specific around an area. Teachers share things, just like Facebook. You comment on them, you offer your own things. I've learned so much from those teachers. So that engaging, that looking for communities in a different way. Of course, going to learn, going to trainings, ed camps, watching other teachers. Many of you have gone on learning walks. Many of you are getting ready to go on learning walks. I mean, these are ways to observe good teaching and good learning and to try to put those into your classroom and to use those types of things. Support through each other, coaching, mentoring, all right? TLS offers some of that. Video feedback, I just videotaped a teacher and we talked about the video today, you know, so there's ways to learn that are definitely important there through support of your colleagues. And then finally, the new model would include a data piece on some level. What does the data tell us? How does that help me learn? How does that help change what I'm doing? So I would encourage, I guess as we end here, that unconference and the speed dating. It's another way to reach out and learn some things from people other than just sitting in this room and sitting and getting. All right? I would encourage you to be that eagle and go out there and try to get the things you need to speak up and say, you know, I appreciate Liz, this is what I think we need. All right? I think we need, this is what I think I need. That's really important. And then how do we get that for you, or how do we encourage you? Greg himself, he's going to Iowa State this summer to learn to be a AP computer science class teacher. So he's going to, you know, that's professional, going after that, right? He's going out and he's going to learn that so that he can extend his capabilities that way. So kind of more of an encouragement about PL. I think it's going to tie right into what Todd's going to talk a little bit about, what Josh is going to talk about later, and what we've been doing related today. One thing I'm going to ask real quickly to share, I've enjoyed, there's a handful of teachers, and this is just awesome, a handful of teachers that keep posting things on Twitter, right? And they're doing some great jobs that way, and I try to like retweet all those things. But Cassie today did something pretty cool that I'd like her to share maybe with the class, so for the group here. So if you want to share while I bring it up for you, would you be willing to do that?
Sure.
Awesome.
Okay.
How she's using Twitter.
Okay, we are doing Hamlet in Advanced English, and today we tried something new. I split them into 3 different groups. They were the actors, the tweeters, or the paparazzi, and then the news reporters. And the news team had to come up with their own news site, what type of news they would report, how they were going to put together the information. The actors were in charge of acting out the scene of Hamlet with props and with the proper stage direction, all of that. And then the tweeters and the photographers were live tweeting the performance of Hamlet. And then, so today when they performed, our writers were in a separate room, and they have to write their report of Hamlet solely based on the Twitter feed, which had quotes, pictures, and what was going on. It went really well. I read through their tweets after, and I was really impressed with how well they did. The group who acted did great. They really got into it. And then the one piece I'm still waiting on is the report that we'll read tomorrow. So we'll see how it actually goes. But so they presented, and while they were acting out, the tweeters were saying, and the tweeters had no knowledge of the scene, just what we've done of Hamlet so far. So the only people who read the scene were the actors. And they did make their own Twitter account for it because they said they didn't want to put up their own they didn't want to lose followers based on the stuff they tweeted out today. So we did make and they say Hamlet Production Twitter account. And it was really good. I was impressed with how they were following along. They did put some